Hello and welcome to another episode of the Illinois Workers Project. I'm your host, David Luna, and today is January 18, 2021. Happy New Year's, y'all. We are 165,718 seconds away from the presidential inauguration, so shout out to President-elect Mr. Joseph Biden. But we are here to talk about House Bill 3653 today. It's a criminal justice reform bill that it's apparently been in the works for quite some time. It passed last Wednesday. I think it passed last Wednesday, 32 to 23 and 60 to 50 at the House of Representatives. It definitely is controversial, and I wanted to read it over. I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing. It's 764 pages, but I do want to highlight things and bring awareness to what I feel is important, First and foremost is abolishing the bail bond system. The monetary bail bond system, poof, gone, right? Awesome. What's wrong with that? Because a lot of people sometimes have to cop out because it's just faster for them to go to the penitentiary, come home to their families, and to sit in jail because they can't bond out. I know of men that have sat in jail for up to 7 years in Cook County Jail and beat their case. You're going to be releasing all these criminals back into the streets and it's going to erase crime. That's not true, y'all. Don't let this misinformation fool y'all. Remember, we are presumed innocent until proven guilty. That's what it's, at least that's the presumption we're supposed to have. So what's wrong with that, right? The presumption of innocence and allowing people to go home to their families. It costs money to house prisoners, up to $35,000 a year per person. And then what if they're the main earners of their household? What happens to their families? Do they also then become tax burdens to the state? So definitely a step in the right direction. I love it. The next provision in the bill that I loved was that it's going to be bringing accountability to police departments and police officers, right? With procedural changes in the way that they handle arrest and the way that they treat pretrial detainees. So they no longer can use chokeholds on people. They can't cut your breathing, cut off your air supply. And I'm a big dude. I don't want anyone choking me, right? Because he feels some type of way or whatever. So they can no longer do that. They're going to have a whole bunch of training that's going to help them, assess whether it's appropriate for them to be able to use deadly force and how to use that deadly force. And of course, they can use chokeholds, but only if they feel that life is in danger. Like, it's got to be a life-death situation. So we're going to provide training for police officers. We're going to help them make better decisions with high-risk stops, and they're going to get trained for it. That is, to me, a great thing. There's going to be a certification program that's going to be set up for these officers that's going to make sure that they get the help that they need. And anyone that has a problem with that, maybe you're the problem. Or because no one's attacking anybody. We're just trying to make sure that regardless of what you're going through in your life, or the mistake you might have done or might not have done, that you still be treated like a human. It's a human rights issue against cruel and unusual punishment. And that's what this bill begins to address, and I love it, right? I love it. Pretrial detention. If the officer decides to arrest somebody, one, he's got to give him 3 phone calls before he interrogates him. 3 phone calls. You got to call your mom, call your dad, call your attorney. It doesn't matter. If they move you to another police department, they got to give you 3 phone calls there also. We have a right, a Fifth Amendment constitutional right against self-incrimination. So that's cool. Yeah, give those people those phone calls. What's wrong with that? Yeah, it's going to help, prevent coercion or intimidation or people that are young guys, young girls that are scared, saying the wrong things that they're not supposed to be saying, or not having an attorney present. That we have a right to legal counsel, So I'm using the News Gazette out of Champaign, Illinois. They did a great job writing this article. So if you guys want to go ahead and follow along, I'm going to provide a link in the description below. You can go ahead and give me a thumbs up and comment if you want. Show me a little bit of love while you're down there. But if you guys want to go ahead and follow along, we are fundamentally changing the way we do criminal justice in the state. We are. What are they doing? They're going to abolish the monetary bail bond system. poof, gone. January 1st, 2023. But you're going to be releasing all these criminals. No, they're not. No, they're not. We are innocent until proven guilty. We all have that constitutional right, man. And we need to start acting like we do. We haven't been treated as so. Poor people have been subjected to having unfair treatment of the law just because they can't afford to bond out, and sometimes they have to plead guilty because it's faster for them to go to the penitentiary, come home to their families, than to sit 18 months in the jail and go to trial and hire an attorney. Sometimes it's just faster. Let's get it over with. And once you become a felon, I guess you can just rack them up, right? It's gonna help a lot of guys and men and women, just go back home to their families, because it costs money to house prisoners, between $32,000 and $35,000 a year. And what about their families? Are they now on social welfare because their main earner is no longer there? So do they also then become burdens of the state? I don't mean to say it in a negative way. I'm just telling that y'all that it's tight. We have like the worst debt in our nation. I think the GDP to debt ratio was 26%, and that's the highest in the nation. The closest one to us behind us is Connecticut. So there's some changes that we're going to have to make. Definitely, we tried to tax the rich. People spoke up against it and didn't pass. So okay, here we are, and we're going to still have to right some wrongs and to move forward and as a community. So they're getting rid of the bail bond system. I'm with it. I think it's cool. If they so now they're creating procedural rules also for how pretrial detention needs to be approached. People now get 3 phone calls before they're being interrogated. That is amazing, because a lot of dudes need to call their lawyer or their mom or their dad, because they need guidance. They're young dudes, young girls, and they get nervous. They get put in these rooms. Good cop, bad cop, We have a right against self-incrimination. That's our constitutional rights. And all we're asking for is equal protection under the same law that everyone else is protected by. And who is we? Minorities, poor people, right? We deserve that same type of treatment. So 3 phone calls, right? And next provision of the bill that I want to talk about is police use of force. They are no longer allowed to use chokeholds on us. I'm a big dude. I don't want anyone choking me. Look what happened to Eric Garner. He's selling some cigarettes and got killed. We don't want that happening. We don't need that type of publicity in our state. So we already have this dude, Kyle Rittenhouse. Where's he at? Look, he bonded out. He had a rich guy to bond him out. But look, they're throwing up a white power symbol. We don't need any of that. We already got enough bad publicity, So police use of force. The bill provides that use of force is permissible only when an officer has determined it is necessary to defend either themselves or others from bodily harm when making an arrest. When a suspect is attempting to escape, you can't shoot and kill them no more. And I'm okay with that. I don't think anyone should be shot and killed while they're fleeing in their backs. You shouldn't have to kill everybody. I don't like that. I think it's crazy. I think it's scary for me, Qualified immunity. Originally, the bill asked that the qualified immunity be taken away from police officers. There was a big, what is that? If they violate your constitutional rights, that would allow people to sue police officers individually in the police department. I disagree with that. We're already asking a lot from police officers, and now they're going to have to not only risk their lives, but their personal assets. I don't like that, but they shouldn't have violated my constitutional rights. I get it. So that's why we're providing all these programs to help train police officers now. They're going to have to certify and have 3 years to do it. They're creating a board that's going to also have the ability to decertify and decommission officers if they're doing things they're not supposed to be doing. Oh, which also brings the other thing. There's also an officer's duty to intervene if they see a police officer doing that something that they're not supposed to be doing, and that's all right because as, any other American citizen that witnesses a crime and doesn't report it and is then potentially held accountable for anything that happens after the fact. So I think police officers' duty to intervene, that's not a bad thing, and they are going to provide protections for whistleblowers. That's an amazing provision of the bill. We need to just weed out the bad apples. The majority of police officers are great, honorable men that have sworn an oath to uphold our Constitution, our law, enforce the law. So this is part of the law. Now, oh wait, not yet. We need the governor to sign it. Hopefully he's signing it right now as I'm making this. So the decertification is determined by an 11-person panel, and 8 are appointed by the attorney general and 3 by the governor. So that's something that must have been negotiated and between them, and it's I don't see any problem with it. I think it's great. Another provision of the bill that's being presented is that police officers have to use police cameras. Yeah. and they're not going to have access to these police cameras before they write their police reports. But they have until 2025 to get these cameras going. They're not really being provided any money for it. So a lot of the police officers, police departments are saying, hey, we can't afford to do this. But luckily, this bill also helps them save a little bit of money by not allowing them to buy military surplus equipment, at least tracked military, armored vehicles, bayonets, grenade launchers, 50 caliber handguns, and ammunition. So maybe we need to, divert some money that was being spent on things like that into our police. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but I'm sure they're going to have to figure out how to be in compliance with this law. I don't see anything wrong with having every police officer use a police camera. I think we need more of that, and it's going to help both sides. And them not having access to the camera before they write their report. What's wrong with that? Because if you're telling the truth, there shouldn't be, any big inconsistencies. At least I get it. You're in the heat of the moment. Your adrenaline's pumping. You not might remember everything, but those types of things are going to be assessed, right? But if you're trying to manufacture a story, it does happen, and police officers have been caught doing it, and it's going to nip that in the bud, right? Okay. So another good thing about the bill that I really like was that it gave judges more discretion in regards to minimum sentencing. There's a lot of minimum sentencing laws that I feel are kind of crazy. The sentences already are kind of high, like 6 to 30 with a mandatory 15-year gun enhancement or something, or mandatory minimum because of this or that. Like, there's young men that make mistakes just like police officers. You make mistakes, and you shouldn't demonize them or not help them be constructive members of society again, to be able to come back home to their families and be role models, because that's really where the change is going to come. Having the opportunity to be parents to our children. Oh, here's another good, cool part of the bill. The provision says that when a peace officer or any person acting on behalf of a peace officer, they cannot discharge kinetic impact projectiles or other projectiles in a manner that targets the head, pelvis, or back, or discharge indiscriminately into a crowd projectiles. And they got to announce that they're going to use tear gas before they do and give the crowd time to disperse. So that's going to help protect people's First Amendment rights, right? Being able to protest and speak up in regards to what they believe in, and not be killed or be shot in the head or the back or the pelvis by a pellet gun, or maced. And if they're going to mace them, they give me time to get out of here and mace these guys. I'm all right with that. Think that's a great thing. Let's get it. So another cool thing that I've seen that's a right for a pretrial detainee is women that end up going through the correctional system, or the criminal justice system pregnant. You can no longer put pregnant women in solitary confinement, and that is a human rights issue. We have an Eighth Amendment right against cruel and unusual punishment. You know, if your hormones especially are like all out of whack because the women are pregnant, I can't imagine them being in the hole, man. That's crazy. It's crazy, man, because they gotta maintain their hygiene. But now this bill is gonna prevent that from happening, and also, give them like parenting classes and prenatal treatment or whatever. So that's pretty cool. I love it. I think it's another great part of our bill. Good time. Sentence credits. Director of a prison, the director of the prison system now has the ability to give 6 months good time to people serving less than 5 years, and up to a year of good time for people serving over 5 years. And that's something that's changed. So you guys, if you have family members in the penitentiary system, if this bill gets passed and they do more than a 5-year bid, they can get up to a year good time if they, don't get in trouble. That it creates an incentive for people that are in there for a long time to do something positive and constructive while they're in there. Not that there's much, because a lot of the programs that they did have, like the ability to go to take some sort of like classes, like college course or GED class, those programs are being taken away. There's almost none left. And I would have taken this bill a step further and provided more programs that allowed prisoners to create these tools for them to become successful and productive members of our society. And that's how we're really going to get ahead in life, if we all work together and respect each other's lives. And okay. So House Bill 3653, it brings transparency, accountability to our police department. It helps preserve the integrity of our constitutional rights. If we're being detained, we get 3 phone calls, right? We before anyone is interrogated, if you're a pregnant lady going through the criminal justice system, they can't put you in solitary confinement, right? Police officers now have to certify, and they can become decertified if they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing. Other police officers have a duty to intervene, and there's protections for whistleblowers. Now they speak up against if a police officer or their department. If anyone dies while in police custody, they have 30 days to write a report that's going to be open to public scrutiny. This bill is a great step in the right direction. I commend our legislators for putting this together. And shout out to the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus. I've never met any of you guys, but if anyone sees this video, man, shout out to y'all, man. For reals. It's crazy. I was reading that you guys have been working on some parts of this for 10 years now. Some parts of this bill, they've been working on this for over 10 years, man. 10 years. It's cool, So, House Bill 3653, it's a step in the right direction. I love it. You guys, stay out of trouble. Just know that just because people make mistakes in life, it doesn't mean that they're any less human. And that's the biggest message I got from this bill. So, again, this is David Luna with the Illinois Workers Project. Make sure to give me a thumbs up, comment down below, and let me know what you think.